Hello everybody, Raven Knight here. Today we are doing an Origins video. We're doing an Origins on Temwah. For those who do not know, I do Legends videos. I create characters in For Honor, I make stories about them, and then I tell their story to you guys. And I really love doing it. It's a lot of fun. I've been going through some writer's block lately, which has been slowing me down, but I thought to myself, you know what? I'd like to talk more about some of my characters and the inspiration behind them. And today I want to talk about Temwah. I'm actually shocked because I could have sworn I did Temwah in the past, but apparently I didn't. I looked and I can't find him anywhere. I think what happened was I talked about him in other videos, but I didn't do an official video on him. So we're going to do that today. We're going to talk about how I came up with Temwah, how I came up with his legend, and the really cool background behind it. So follow along, guys. I hope you enjoy. So first of all, I should tell you the real inspiration for Temwah came from a couple of sources. There were several points that it came to me. The first was my IRL friend from Zambia named Temwah. That's where the name came from. My friend from Zambia, Temwah, he is a very good friend. Met him in church. He now lives in Georgia, so I don't get to see him very often, but he was a really nice guy. Taught me a lot about his culture, a lot about who he was, and I thought, it'd be cool. I'm going to name this Medjay after my buddy, Temwah. Now, in terms of design, the reason I chose his look and design also comes from him, because while I was talking to him one time, he revealed that in the Aboriginal history of his tribe or culture or village, like his ancient ancestors used to believe that the warriors of their tribe could take on the form of crocodiles to fight their enemies. And I thought, oh, that's so cool, just the idea that they believed that you could become a crocodile. And I thought, hey, Medjay has a whole look that is based around crocodile. I thought that's neat. And most Medjay that I see when fighting don't use the crocodile look. They use the Anubis look or the eagle look or the jade face look. They don't usually use the crocodile look, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to be the odd man out. I'm going to do the crocodile look, and it will be based on an actual sword. So I thought that'd be a really cool design choice. Now, of course, you're probably thinking, okay, but Zambia is not Egypt. How did you work that out? Well, I decided what I would do is, instead of having him be a blooded Egyptian like he's from Egypt, Temwah is a mercenary from Zambia who wanders around, kind of going from place to place, fighting where he needs to, and then ends up working his way north where he discovers Egypt. And so that's kind of how I worked that out. Now, after I got into that, the next inspiration that came to mind was how he found his love, Yada. Now, y'all got to understand, I'm a huge sucker for romance and love stories. There's something that I really like. If you can do a really cute love story, I really will enjoy it. And so I wanted this to be a unique story. Now, how do I do it? I'm not going to lie. I did get inspiration from Usopp from One Piece, because Usopp and his origin, he's a compulsive liar, but he often used his lies to help. And what I mean by that is, there was this sick girl in his village named Kaya, who he would go to and tell her stories, wild, outlandish stories about his fake adventures to cheer her up and make her laugh. And so when I was creating this, I created Yada, who is the sister of Neferka. Yeah, the main Medjay, the one who's going to be Pharaoh. I made her his sister, but she is very sickly, very weak, spends most of her time indoors in bed because she's so weak she can't really go out and do much. And she's fallen in love with Neferka because not only is he a strong warrior, but he has stories to tell of the outside world. He can tell her actual real stories of things he's seen, places he's went, people he's interacted with, and she loves hearing him talk. She loves interacting with him. It is just this close relationship. Well, eventually Neferka finds out about him, and she begs him, hey, brother, let him stay. I want him to stay. And he says, okay, tell you what, I'll try him out as one of my Medjay. I'll try him out as a warrior. And he proves himself. He proves himself very well that he is a fighter. He is a warrior. Well, cut ahead, and we get to the story of what happened with Neferka and Bolthorn, where Bolthorn stole the scarab bracelet. Now, Neferka reveals to his Medjay, here's what Bolthorn stole. It's called the scarab bracelet, and it can do all this. Now, when Temwah hears what the scarab bracelet is capable of, this makes him a little bit happy, because he thinks, hey, if we get that back and Neferka wears it, he could use it to heal Yada. He's the pharaoh. He has the right to use it. He could heal his sister. So he says, hey, I volunteer to go with you to get it back. And so they're like, yeah, come along, man. So he goes to tell Yada, like, Yara, I'm going overseas. I'm going to Heathmore. We're going to get the scarab bracelet back for your brother, and he's going to heal you. Now, already Yada is already not okay with this plan. She's like, no, you don't know my brother. He probably won't do that. I don't want to put my hope into this kind of thing, and I don't want you to go to Heathmore because it's a dangerous place. There's a lot of things I don't like about this. Please stay here. Just please stay here with me. And he goes, no. It'll be okay. Once we get the Scarab bracelet back, you'll be healed and we can be together. And she goes, okay, but you just have to promise you'll come back alive. And he goes, I promise, I will. So they go. And then everything happens what you'd expect. They fight. They defeat Bolthorn. They get back the Scarab bracelet. Nefrica fixes all the problems in Heathmore. But the problem is now they don't have the funds to travel back to Egypt. At least that's the story that Nefrica's saying. So one night while they're all in camp, Temwah finally decides to approach Nefrica and say, hey man, I think we should, I'd really like to beseech you to heal your sister. Now, I don't remember where the inspiration for this part came from. I know it came from something, but I can't remember what. But essentially the idea was that Temwah wanted to ask this favor of Nefrica only to realize Nefrica never had any intention of doing it. Like, Nefrica is going to get back the Scarab bracelet and he's not going to use it to heal his sister. And Temwah was like, why on earth wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do it? And there is a hint that Nefrica doesn't want to be challenged for the throne. In his eyes, he thinks that his sister being sickly and weak means that she's not worthy and he is going to be the new king. As long as she stays sickly and weak, she'll never be a challenge to him. And so this thought infuriates Temwah, and he declares him a false king. He declares him a false pharaoh, and that the true queen of Egypt should be allowed to rule. And he says, if you will not use the bracelet, I'll take it back to her, and she can heal herself and become the rightful queen. And so this turns into a fight between the two. And even though neither one kills the other, Nefrica leaves the Medjay and basically says, I'm going to travel all of Heathmore and find another way to save her. If you won't use the Scarab bracelet to save your sister, I will find another way to save her. And so now he's traveling all over Heathmore to find a way to save Yada and find a way to fix her. He's tried going to Chimera, to Horkos, to several locations. No one's really been all that helpful, but he's not giving up. He's basically fighting his way through everything and everyone so that he can find a way to save Yada. Meanwhile, back in Egypt, Yara is hearing stories about what Nefrica's doing and stories about what Temwah's doing, and it fills her up with joy that Temwah's still alive, hearing that he's doing okay. So that was that story, and I can't remember for the life of me where I got the idea of that a loyal soldier thought that his leader would do something only to find out that it wasn't what he thought. Like, no, why are you doing this? This doesn't make sense. I trusted you. That kind of thing. Like this sort of betrayal that he didn't see coming. And I love those sort of sudden betrayals that you don't see coming. And it's not even fully a betrayal because Nefrica, he doesn't hate Temwah, he doesn't hate his sister, but he wants to maintain the status quo. He doesn't want to use the bracelet to uplift himself. He doesn't want to use the bracelet to fix Egypt. He doesn't want to use the bracelet to save his sister. He's very much I like things the way they are. I want to keep things the way they are. Okay, I'm very much cool with it. And in many ways, I see that as a bad king, and Temwah sees it as a bad king. He's like, your kingdom, your relics are all dust and stone, and you won't even use the tools you have to fix it. You're not worthy to be king. And so you can kind of see both sides of the issue, and that's kind of what I would say. Of course, maybe For Honor has their own lore for this reason, but I always thought maybe that's the reason the Medjay aren't united anymore. Because a lot of Medjay were kind of like, nah, man, Temwah's got a point, Nefrica. If you had this bracelet and you knew about it and you could fix our kingdom, maybe you do have a problem. So you have this now divide between the Medjay, and they're all starting to go their own way and, guide Heathmore to something that they'd rather rule. And so you have Medjay now trying to seek their own thing. So Nefrica no longer has the force that he once did. And so he's almost left high and dry now because he doesn't have this unity that he wanted. And so I thought that was a really cool idea to follow. And there were other inspirations that went into it as well. I think that one thing that I like is I went with the snake kind of motif for the blades. And the reason I'm going with the snake motif is not just because it ties to the reptilian aspect, which I think was important for Temwah, but also because he kind of is a snake. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but he is cunning. He's very clever. He knows what he wants and he knows how to get it. And he's also not willing to, just bend the knee to just anyone. He can sneak out of trouble. He can slip away, but then he can strike, and he can strike hard. And I thought that would be a very important facet to his character. Now, when I initially designed him, he didn't have the crown, but I later gave him a crown because it's like, hey, if he does get home to Yada and makes her queen of Egypt, he wants to stand by her side, not because he wants to be king, mind you, but because he wants to live with her and be happy with her. And so I thought that'd be a really cool love story there. And I actually, funny story, I shared this legend with Temwah himself, the IRL Temwah. He loved it. He thought, oh, dude, that's so awesome. He said, this is a really cool story. I like it. And so we had a good laugh about it. He liked some of the ideas behind it. He thought that the narration was good. He liked the name Yada. He said that's a cool name. There was a lot about it that he really liked. He's not a For Honor player himself, so he doesn't know much about the lore of For Honor, so I had to explain some of it to him. But after I explained it, he's like, nah, dude, that's cool. He said, that is really, really cool. So, really cool guy. And what's funny is I actually I know that there was this controversy about Medjay, about the fact that he's the only character in the cast who you cannot make white. All of his skin colors are a different tone of black. But what's funny is that didn't bother me, because IRL Temwah is incredibly dark skinned, like far more dark skinned than you would expect, because he's from Africa, like he is from the homeland of Africa. So when I was designing Temwah the character, I did not mind just making his skin just pitch black. It did not bother me, because I was making him look like my friend. The only problem is Temwah, my friend, is a little shorter than me and not quite as broad or muscular. Like he's sort of skinny, which Medjay in game is a very bulky, broad, muscular dude, so it's a little different. So yeah, that's kind of where all that came from. Really, I wanted to pursue some ideas of, love conquering all, betrayal, the wandering vagabond who finds a home, but that home is not one that is existing or thriving as it should, and he wants to try to save it. You see these kind of themes in other shows and movies and games, and I thought that I'd explore that a bit with Temwah, and he's honestly one of my favorite characters. What I really want to do is explore more with him and do more stories with him. The problem is I don't know just yet what avenues he will pursue. Like, what will he do to try to save Yara? What answers will he seek? Will he try to experiment with Draconite? Will he go after the chalice of immortality, that dragon chalice that we heard about? Will he seek out Inquisitor Yen Chen to find out where she hid the artifacts? What will he do to try to save his love? And I thought, hey, that all of that is stuff that I want to answer. What do you guys think? I'd love your thoughts. Where do you see his story going? Do you agree that he and Yada deserve to rule Egypt side by side? Do you like that story? Do you agree that Neferka is a false king? Let me know down in the comment section below. Would love to hear your thoughts. But that's all I got for this video. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you in my next one. Take care.